Please pay attention to the following announcements. Galactic regulations require that we advise you that Three Sheets to the Mouse is an adult-themed podcast and may contain content and language not designed for younger Padawan learners. Thank you for listening to Three Sheets to the Mouse, and have a wonderful flight.
That little pig.
I know it sounds sorted, but you'll be rewarded when at last I am given my dues. And injustice deliciously squared, be prepared.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 51 of Three Sheets to the Mouse. We're five average guys with a love for all things Disney, and joining me on this week's episode are four guys who are on their way to Dover. Adam.
What's up?
Mikey.
I'm going to see them White Cliffs.
And Tim.
Oh, bother.
And Trenton.
Oh, who? Oh yeah, Trenton too.
Oh, he knows me better as Monk with a Book. So.
Monk with a Book. We're here to talk to you about Disney parks, Disney booze, and a little bit of debauchery in between. So sit back, relax, grab a pint of honeyed mead, and enjoy the adult side of Disney with Three Sheets to the Mouse. So, Monk with a Book, do you have a bottle of Belgian Truffle Ale?
No.
Miller Lite.
No, it's a Blue Moon.
Oh my god, even worse than the rest of them.
Wait, it's Blue Moon in an aluminum can.
It's a 16-ounce aluminum can.
You know what?
Did you stuff an orange slice in there?
I didn't. No, don't forget.
No, he just put orange juice in it.
Orange juice.
Man,
Bromosa.
Bromosa.
For a guy that works in a brewery.
You got some pretty trashy beer taste.
Yep.
You do?
Yeah.
No. This is the beer I buy because I work at a fucking brewery.
I get that. But, there are guys in Scotland that work at Macallan.
Okay.
And they come home with good whiskey.
Now, they probably make good money, too. And they probably also get whiskey from work. I don't. We don't bottle or can. And I don't really care to drink beer out of growlers, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think I've seen you working the tap, though, Trenton.
Yeah, like at work.
You can't necessarily take tap beer home with you.
That.
Yeah, I mean, so when I brought Tim and Adam the growlers, that's probably the best experience I've had with growlers. Like, still tasting how they're supposed to taste. I always feel like beer tastes weird out of growlers. I don't know why.
Oh, they were pretty good.
Tasted fine to me.
No, that's what I'm saying. They were great. But sometimes, I don't know.
So you're drinking some Blue Moon.
I am.
Let me know when you get your Zimas.
Oh,
David
no.
Thacker supposedly is mailing me those. And
Shut up, for real?
Yep,
Yes.
and I'm going to drink them on a live stream.
No, but I wish,
We're not doing those anymore.
See, the best part about Zima is they also came out with Zima Gold. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but it looked like ginger ale.
I remember Zima Gold.
God.
I mean,
Trent, make sure you put a Jolly Rancher in that one.
Now, you're like the 10th person to say that.
My stepmother
Yeah.
used to be a bartender, and she used to come home with Zimas when they did the promotional back in the 90s.
My
So
older
fucking bad.
sister, that's all she drank in college when she was in a sorority, was Zima and Jolly Ranchers.
I remember having like sips of Zima when I was 12, and then they stopped making it.
Well, they knew what they had created.
For good reason.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it's still marketed in Europe. But
Of course it is.
Yeah, it's spelled with a capital Z. It's got to be European.
Well, wait.
Wait, Europeans don't use the letter Z.
But Scott, you lived in the London. Was Zima in the London?
I don't remember seeing Zima in London at all. It might have been in Spain, because Spain, for some reason, is stuck in like the late 80s, early 90s. Like, Swatch is a big thing in Spain.
no, I was thinking Zima was marketed in like
Z Cavaricci's.
in
Switzerland?
like, the Netherlands.
In Switzerland?
IKEA.
Yeah.
We have someone in Switzerland.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Eric Oleniak.
They probably stay pretty. They don't vote in polls because they got to stay neutral.
God.
Mikey, what are you drinking tonight?
I've got a pour of some Granestone Highland single malt, finished in a bourbon barrel, And realized I probably should have just left it in that bourbon barrel because this is not a pleasant experience.
It's not. It's not at all. I have a bottle of the Isla version of that. Oh, it does not taste very good.
No,
I wouldn't recommend it.
No, not. It's not something you're gonna see me asking for. Before anybody starts filling up my inbox with bottles of Grangestone.
See, we don't praise every single alcohol we have on here. I'll shit on Grangestone all day.
Yeah, you'll do something else.
And we shit on Trenton's beer choices. So.
Tim, what are you drinking tonight?
We've got another bottle of Misty Creek Chamberson from Shan Nichols.
Yep.
Trader Shan.
This is a 2008. It's really good.
2008.
It's vintage.
It's vintage.
It's vintage.
Grand Cru.
Well, he sent Adam home with a 2006.
Yeah.
From Ohio. So.
Yeah, Ohio.
Damn.
That was the best part of Ohio.
I'll tell you what. I've never been more disappointed to hear someone going to Stockholm in my life.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. It was really cool meeting him.
I know. And he'll be back here in New Jersey. And I'll meet up with him when he comes this way.
What? We can't come because we're so far away? What kind of bullshit is this?
Oh, you guys can come too.
When he was in Newark, I missed him by like 2 hours.
You guys can come too.
I don't think he's been to Texas.
Adam, speaking of orgasms, what are you drinking tonight?
I don't understand that transition, but I'm drinking the same thing as Tim. So, there you go.
You know what? Figure it out.
Use your imagination.
Use your imagination.
Scott, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Tomatin 18 because it's Burns night, and I figured no better way to celebrate the great poet of Scotland with a Highland single malt.
I'm not gonna lie, Adam had to look
about it
up.
on YouTube today, guys.
He had to, because
No.
Adam had to look it up.
I had no idea what anybody was talking about with that.
I knew of Burns night, but I did not know it was tonight because it changes year to year.
Why?
The only Burns I know is Mr. Burns.
Oh, see, I like Robert Burns. As you guys remember, I sang Parting Glass on episode 30, 50 something, 40 something, I don't know, a while ago. I like Burns. I like Robert Burns. Speaking of the UK, I think tonight's show is going to head over to the UK.
The London, you mean?
The London.
Well, there parts of both of these movies take place in the London.
Yeah, but we're talking about the ride.
But the ride also takes. Well,
We're talking about
maybe
fucking
not.
Paddington?
No.
Paddington
No,
takes
different
place
bear,
in
a whole
the
different
London.
bear. This one wears
my
much less
God.
clothing.
I'm going
Yes.
to start treating bears like birds if we don't hurry up.
Wait, I like little tirade on birds. They're useless.
And it took 8 minutes to get that angry little Amish man out.
I don't like birds.
That's a
Birds are
record.
useless. All of them.
Birds, bears, and sand.
They eat... Yes.
Adam, what are we doing tonight?
We are actually talking about all the creations of Mr. Toad and leading to what it started out being to what it ended up being in Disney
So
World.
it's
And
time to go
Disneyland.
back to school, isn't it?
Little bit. Time to get your Disney doctorate.
Let's get that Disney doctorate.
That's what we call it, right? Because I'm not sure. There was something...
Doctorate of Disney history.
Close enough.
Something like that.
I don't remember. I knew there were other letters in there. I couldn't think of them. Alright, so Scott's going to actually start us off because Mr. Toad in Disneyland was actually the first attraction to open with the title. So, Scott, take it away.
Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is based on the film and the book, the 1949 film, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. And obviously, Mr. Toad is the other half of that from the story The Wind in the Willows. So what we have is this recreation of Toad Hall. So in Disneyland, they have a total recreation of Toad Hall as the facade of the ride and the queue. And when you go in there, you go in through the queue and you go in through Toad Hall. You go through the main area, which has these giant murals and giant artistic works commemorating all the characters from Wind in the Willows. You have marble busts of Molly, Ratty, Mr. Toad, Mr. Badger, all of these guys. Mr. Mick Badger because he's Scottish, and it's a really great queue. It actually does a lot of nods back to Walt Disney's love of trains. It has a little nod to the Disney crest in there if you can find it on the big mural. It's pretty cool. But you begin your journey by loading into a 1904 car, like an old car, and where you're going to drive through the countryside of England is similar to what Toad does in the movie The Wind in the Willows. He becomes obsessed with this motor car that he sees, and he wants to drive all over town and wrecking things, and so it becomes a wild ride through town. You start by crashing into the library where Mick Badger is teetering upon a ladder with a stack of books, and they look like they're going to fall on you. They don't. You then go through the hallway into the living room where there's a fireplace. You go through the fireplace into a fiber optic simulated scattering of embers, which is actually pretty cool for 1955.
Was that
pretty
there
impressive
back then?
It was always there. They've now updated it with projection stuff, so it's pretty cool. Going through there, you leave out the front door, narrowly avoiding the falling suit of armor, and you're in the main Toad Hall, and you see the weasels, who are the main bad guys from the movie, swinging from the chandeliers, and finally you enter the dining room, where there's Molly eating at the dinner table, and you knock him aside and bust out of the wall, and you're in the countryside of England. So there you go through Ratty's house, you aggravate the policeman, you terrorize the farmers, the sheep, you head to the docks, you look like you're going to plunge into the river, and then you get a sharp turn and you're in a warehouse full of explosives. You nearly die there, things are blowing up around you, you head out of there, where you go to Winky's Pub. Winky's Pub has Mr. Winky, who's the bartender who frames Mr. Toad. He frames Mr. Toad in the movie. And then finally you enter the town square where Toad and Cyril Proudbottom are in the center of town. Cyril Proudbottom is the horse that is his friend. And finally, you get arrested. So you go into a juryless courtroom where the judge essentially sentences you to prison. And then you go into prison. And then you break out of prison. And finally, this is the best part, you get onto the railroad tracks and you collide head on with a train. Because, why not? So after you die, you obviously, because you stole a car and you're going on a wild ride, you go to hell, right? So not anything inspired by the movie at all. This is the weird part. There is no depiction of hell in the movie, but there's hell in the ride for some reason.
It's like the second half of Jurassic Park 2. None of that shit was in the movie. Fucking T-Rex running through the middle of San Diego. Right?
So you go through there, and the cool part about this is the entire room is heated. So they have heat lamps like blasting heat on you, so it feels like you're in hell. And you finally pass by the demon who resembles the judge from the courtroom scene. And you get a reprieve from hell/purgatory, and you escape back to the ride's loading and unloading area where you disembark. And that is Mr. Toad's Wild Ride in Disneyland.
Yes. Now, I'm going to talk about the major differences between the Disneyland attraction and the second attraction to open in Walt Disney World. It was an opening day attraction back in 1971, and it was modeled after the Disneyland attraction, except there were some major differences here. One of the biggest ones was that this was one of the first, and still to this day, one of the only rides where, depending on which track you went on, you had a totally different experience, where you had totally different show scenes throughout the attraction. The ride track was very similar to the original attraction in Disneyland, minus the part with Mr. Winky's Tavern that wasn't on this side.
Every time you say Mr. Winky, Trenton feels like a little schoolboy.
Okay, so we do have something that does actually make Trenton laugh and not angry. And that's Mr. Winky.
Winky.
Is it safe to say Trenton is a big fan of Mr. Winky?
I don't even know what he
Mr.
looks
Winky?
like. I just like his name.
Well, he made an appearance in Ace Ventura. During the big reveal, say hello to Captain Winky.
So, but
she was packing.
I think the only thing that's a little bit different is that on the right track, when you actually go to jail, there are actual weasels in the jail cells. And the weasels actually have a shootout with the police. And there were just red lights in their guns simulating some gunfire. And then you do end up on the same railroad crossing after the shootout, scene after the escape from jail. And yeah, you're on the railroad tracks and you die again. Now,
I mean, hey, it makes sense.
But I mean,
well, it is a dark ride.
Yes,
Yes.
it is a very dark ride.
Very dark ride.
That was very meta, Mikey.
Thank you.
The really cool thing about this, though, is when you actually got hit by the train, all you see is the white light of the train coming at you. Right, and it sounds like an impact. So it's one of the easiest effects, but it's done really well. From the left track is where it gets a little bit different, and you do not pass through the same things. So you actually start in Toad's trophy room, then you go to a kitchen, and then a gypsy camp. After going through the one-way street and rounding the plaza, the one-way street was in both of them with the police signaling for traffic, you go into Mr. Winky's tavern. Winky, Winky, Winky.
Oh, God.
Is that the name of the brewery you work at? If it's not, it really should be.
Mr. Winky's
I'm gonna
Brewery.
file the name change tomorrow, guys. Don't worry.
Awesome. So, Mr. Winky, who is the bartender, he's holding 2 beer mugs where you see him standing up. Well, he ducks when Mr. Toad comes in, and the beer mugs are left spinning in the air. The vehicle makes another right turn, and the guests could see the weasels hiding out in the tavern among the ale barrels. So the weasels are kind of the villains for this ride. After that, you go through the night countryside, passing by Ratty House, and the vehicles reach, guess what? Another railroad crossing, where because you're drunk driving from drinking beer, you get hit by a train and you go to hell.
This is a kid's ride. This is a great kid's ride.
All kinds of family fun.
Very kid-friendly.
But actually, this ride actually closed after our last trip to hell back on September 7th, 1998. And there was quite an uproar when this ride closed. It was the first attraction that had the warning that this ride was closing, and people collectively lost their shit. Well, we're going to pass this hot mess off to Trenton now. So he can talk about Winnie the Pooh, which opened June 4th, 1999.
So we're going from Winky to Pooh. This episode is ATM. Oh no, Trenton's getting ready to talk.
Am I?
Oh yeah, it's your turn, man.
All
Tell
right.
us all the
So this
many
fantastic
adventures of-
fucking whirlwind ride in Mr. Toad's Jalopy, where you're going, getting drunk, and ending your life by a train, and then going to hell, and then ending up fine anyway in some twisted turn of fuckery. They replaced all that with this dumbass Pooh Ride.
Here's the angry Trenton that we know and love.
Angry Amish.
It's a real Pooh Ride. So they replaced it with that now, and I'm not excited about it, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. So when
He's
you
really
go,
folks. He's really gonna sell you on this ride. I'm telling you.
yeah, I'm gonna make you really want to ride this.
You are gonna fast pass
shit
the
show.
shit out
It's the only
of
way
this.
that anyone should ever ride this. I wouldn't waste a fast pass on it, but I'm not waiting fucking 90 minutes in line for this. Never mind. Anyway,
Fast pass the shit out of some poo.
so after you go through anyway, when you go through the old boring queue that was the original, you would then get to the loading area where you would see these dirty, sticky, oozing honey pots that you had to get into. The vehicles are you go through and you pass large storybook pages, which are representative of the Pooh books that most of you might have read as children. I did not, because they are fucking dumb. The vehicle arrives in the 100 Acre Woods then on a blustery day, which is based on Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day, which is a real fucking creative name. So you go in, and in this area, there's a bunch of... they're not animatronics. I think they're just figures,
No, there's
right?
animatronics.
Yeah,
Do they move?
animatronics.
Okay.
They
Okay,
move.
so Piglet is holding on to a broom and being spun around because it's so fucking blustery, and Pooh's holding to a balloon, and he's flying around, trying to reach for some honey off of his balloon, and Eeyore's sitting on the ground like fuck and just trying to patronize Pooh, I guess. After that section of the ride, we move on to Owl's home, which is the coolest part of the ride, in my opinion, because there's a picture of J. Thaddeus Toad himself handing over the deed to Mr. Owl. There's also a picture in there of Pooh greeting Moley, who is Mr. Toad's sidekick, which is a cool little throwback to the better ride that was here previously.
But they couldn't fit in Mr. Winky.
Yep, they couldn't put Mr. Winky right there in Owl's bedside table.
It was a tight spot. There's no room.
Even with all that honey, they couldn't figure out how to get it in.
You can also find a tribute to Mr. Toad at the Haunted Mansion Pet Cemetery. There's I believe it's a gravestone for Mr. Toad. There's like a little statue.
It's a headstone.
It's hard to say if it's a tribute or just his grave.
Probably his grave.
He did go to hell.
Yeah,
Mr. Toad grave.
Toad grave.
Toad.
Frog's Leap. So the ride then...
That sounds like the name of an emo band.
Yeah,
Toad
that's
grave.
Toad grave.
So after that section, you're going to come to another giant page of the Pooh book, where all of a sudden Tigger bounces out at you, jumps out, and you start bouncing in the ride vehicle itself. The hydraulics underneath the ride move you up and down like you're bouncing with Tigger through the 100 Acre Wood. Tigger bounces all around and upside down and all around, and he's all fucking coked up or whatever he's wrong with him. And it transpires into Tigger in Pooh's house. He's holding him down, and he's telling him all about the heffalumps and the woozles. And Pooh falls asleep and magically floats up into the sky, and everything gets dark. And then, all of a sudden, the ride vehicles then move into a dark room with a bunch of, black lights, and then you see, this is where you get into the heffalumps and woozles section of this acid trip part of the ride. You go through all that.
Well, Pooh was tripping balls.
Yeah, apparently.
He was sleeping.
He was tripping balls. He was
Fucking
high.
wicked. That's a
Fucking
wicked dream. So it's all crazy in that section, and then after all that ends, none of it really makes any sense. It's just the heffalumps and woozles, and that song plays. It gets stuck in your fucking head for the rest of the day.
That's
And
not
then-
the song. It's not the song.
It doesn't play?
No. It's not the song that gets trapped in your head.
No, the one that gets trapped in your head is...
The rain, rain, rain comes down, 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 the rushing, rising river.
No. Yeah, it's
For me, it's
definitely
the
the
heffalumps
woozles.
and woozles, because I even like it because it's...
See, I like that song. I
Halloween
hate
party.
the Rainy Day song. I hate that song. And that's the
Sorry.
one that gets stuck in your...
So
We're all
after,
sorry. We're all charity
these
tonight.
these songs are the Sherman Brothers finest.
so after that section, you move into the 100 Acre Wood once again, and there's rain and clouds painted on the wall, and there's thunder and lightning, and the 100 Acre Wood is there's a thunderstorm, and the ride vehicles begin to float, or the illusion that you're floating, and it's really just you moving up your the hydraulics once again. There's everyone's just playing in the rain, and Tigger and Owl are trying to save Piglet, and the ride vehicles move, and Pooh's flying around on the wind. The vehicles then move into the final scene of the ride, where everyone but Pooh is celebrating the rain going away. Pooh's enjoying a big sticky load of honey, just a big oozing load right in his fucking mouth.
Jesus.
And then the book ends.
You can't make this shit up,
People
people.
go back to the load area.
Tim is up next, dude. The next actual ride that didn't actually close, Mr. Toad, but since we talked a little bit about Winnie the Pooh, we're going to talk about Winnie the Pooh in Disneyland.
Yeah, and Winnie the Pooh and Disneyland closed their Country Bears, which, good riddance, because I hate that ride.
It's a great
It's not that
attraction.
bad.
It's horrible.
It's bad.
It's horrible.
From what it
It's
used
bad.
to be, it's bad.
It's
It's
bad
horrible.
now.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's a different show.
I haven't gone on it since they cut it down. But yeah, different show.
Different
So-
show. So on April 11th, 2003, the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh opened in Disneyland. Now, some of the differences between Disneyland's and Walt Disney World starts with the queue. You start outside. The whole area just looks like the 100-acre woods. It's part of Critter Country in Disneyland. And the beginning of the queue, you walk through, it looks like a covered bridge. And then you walk in. The next difference is the ride vehicles. Instead of a poo pot, you sit in a beehive with oozing honey. And then the differences continue. The storyline is totally out of whack from the Walt Disney World. You start off with the blustery day, and then you go to the dreaded rainy day room, which I cannot stand in either ride because that song gets stuck in my head, and it's probably the worst song ever.
I'm not even allowed to play it in the car. I get
No.
used to that.
Or in the house. But after that, you see Tigger is bouncing around, and he says, "Come follow me." And you come across a scene where Pooh has eaten too much honey, and he's sleeping, and this is their version of the Heffalumps and Woozles room, which is very similar to the Walt Disney World room. Dark room, black lights, day-glow painted scenery. It's all 2D to simulate the dream. And then after that scene, you pass through Pooh, stuck in the honey tree, is gorging on honey, and there's barrels of honey and pots of honey everywhere. And he's still sleeping, so you hear a voice saying, "Pooh, wake up, Pooh. It's your birthday, wake up."
Handle your high.
Mellow out, Pooh. So the next scene is Pooh's birthday, where all his friends gather together, and there's presents everywhere and decorations. And it's a very short ride, because right after that it brings you to the very end of the ride, where it's just a long hallway with swinging wooden doors decorated in all of the presents that each one of his friends gives him. You get a stack of presents from Piglet, a stack of presents from Rabbit, Eeyore, Owl, and then that's the end of the ride. You go back outside. The other difference is that this ride actually has its own standalone gift shop, separate from the ride. You don't exit out into the gift shop. It's called Pooh's Corner.
It's not a shitty room just that clogs everything up.
Yeah. So you have a choice to go into it or not to go into it.
And last but not least, wrapping this whole Pooh mess up, is Mikey with the exterior.
Mikey's the diaper.
With the part that might actually have fucking poo on it.
It probably
It probably does.
Yeah, there's like a 98% chance it does.
There's some E. coli and Ebola
There's
going
still
on
a-
in there.
Still a 2% chance it doesn't. Okay, yeah, we're going to talk about the Pooh Queue.
Literally.
As part of the Fantasyland expansion, the queue for Winnie the Pooh, it was remodeled and made more interactive. The outside of the queue, the current outside of the queue, is actually kind of built up where half of it looks like an old-time brick wall like you might see around the London area. And further on down from that, it kind of transitions less from city, more toward countryside, and you get more of built up mounds with stick fencing in it, and that basically is the hard barrier that separates the Disney, that separates the queue from the actual pedestrian traffic of Fantasyland, which, if you've ever seen the way those kids act in that queue, it's a damn good thing they've got some type of fence or net or shock collars or
Oh, that would be fun. Shock
anything. It would be. I'd fast pass
so
that. So, you get in there, you walk under the sign that says, the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh. And, like, the first thing you see, which is damn near a landmark, is Mr. Sanders' house, which is the house that Pooh lives in. And it is large enough that kids can walk into it. Most adults can crawl into it. Scott can walk into it.
I have been inside that treehouse.
We believe it.
I have no doubt.
Just saying.
It's a good looking replica of a fake tree.
And you're a fucking Keebler elf.
Wow.
My wife loves those EL fudges.
Scott's got the hookup.
Scott, if you could, Ernie, if you can make that happen for me, I'd appreciate it. There's some Disney history about this particular tree. It started its life across the road from where it's currently located in what used to be Pooh's Playful Spot, which I think.
You sure it wasn't the Playful Pooh spot?
No, I'm pretty sure. I think the
it was a real tight joint.
Yeah, Mr. Winky hangs out down there, and if you massage it just right.
No, don't do that. Don't do it.
Oh, the honey comes
Okay,
out.
sorry.
Oh.
I know I'm not. You got to be a pro state for that. So yeah, the tree was over there, the Pooh's Playful Spot, which is basically just like a romper room for kids, where the parents could just turn them loose, and they had like this little jungle gym kind of set up with the big tree. But what used to be in the Playful Spot location is the original 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea attraction, and Disney didn't fill that crater in to put a playground there. I mean, that attraction had some issues when it was finally the plug was pulled on it.
I still miss it.
Many.
But as an homage to that attraction, just like the letters and photographs that are in Owl's room during the ride, you've got a silhouette of a Nautilus ride vehicle that's been, kind of made to look like it was carved into one of the wooden beams that supports the doorway going into Pooh's house. So it was a nod back to the attraction that it, replaced. And then when they moved it over to the to where Many Adventures is located, obviously that's still there. They didn't just like spackle over it and say, fuck you, Nemo. Then they'd think, why are they all pissed off at the fish? So, anyway, I love the tree. Disney, they can build the shit out of some fake trees. Like nobody's business. Like baobabs, tree of lives, and Pooh trees. So, taking you on through this queue, you walk past the Pooh tree, and you come to, entrenchment. Trenton had alluded to a larger-than-life page out of a book, which those are all up and down the queue as well. And this one actually kind of sets up the story you're about to take, and it's basically just a map of the 100 Acre Wood, and it just shows you some of the different areas you're going to pass through as you walk along the queue. It's got all the different characters' houses, which you do come across more or less while you're walking. And I will say something kind of interesting. Looking at this image, I didn't notice it when I rode the attraction the first time, but the compass that's on that map, instead of it having an NSEW for north, south, east, and west, it simply has a P, O, O, and an H. And I'm not that OCD, and I'm fine with the letters, but I don't know if I'm looking at a compass and I got two of the same letter on it. That's just gonna fuck some people up, man.
It's also like that in the actual book. So when you open the front cover, you actually have a map of the 100 Acre Wood. And look, Pooh Bear is a very narcissistic character. He likes stories about himself, and so obviously the map is of his home and the compass is all about him.
Okay, yeah. So as you get past that page, right in that same area, instead of coming across where Tigger lives, which I'm not entirely sure if Tigger has a house.
No.
Or he's
a vagabond.
He's kind of like Kramer, except Kramer had a house.
Yeah, he's kind of a vagabond, I think.
That's exactly what he is. There was this area that was like a kind of a playground for kids. You had this soft playground type floor that was squishy like a sponge, and scattered throughout this floor, you had all these colored discs that were orange with black stripes, like Tigger asses. And this was called Tigger's Jumping Place, and you would basically be able to go over there and hop around from Tigger spot to Tigger spot, and it was an assisted jump, so it wasn't like jumping on like this, spandex, trampoline kind of thing with exposed springs. It's hard to explain unless you think of basically like a whack-a-mole, but the mole doesn't go under the ground, it stays flush. And then when you jump on it, it bounces you up. That's kind of what's going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Disney Legal said, hey, this looks cool, you can't do this.
I just don't even know how this got past planning. Because
this got to full-blown Imagineering, and it was released, and it was like open for like I don't know how long ago. There's videos of it on YouTube. There are videos
of like the Disney Imagineers like jumping on these things like prior to it opening and saying, oh, this is great, kids are going to love this. And all I could think was, someone's losing a foot.
Snapping one of those little snot-nosed legs right in half.
See, but they were flush.
So I'm guessing this is pre-JR, right? Because he would never have let that fly.
No, this is post-JR. Joe Rohde was definitely an Imagineering at this point. No, this would have been Tony Baxter. Tony Baxter would have been ahead of Imagineering in 99.
All right, 2000. But wasn't it flush with the ground, so it would be hard to get a kid's foot caught in it?
No, because it goes down about 3 inches, maybe 4 inches before it
springs you up. See, I want to say I saw these in action. I don't clearly remember if I did or didn't.
I mean, they go down deep enough where they could grab a toe when it spits
but
you
I
up. But
think it was...
It's a big
I don't
deal.
think it was hollow on the inside. I think they made it like a wall when it went down, so you couldn't put your foot there. You follow what I mean?
This still sounds dangerous as fuck.
So the guy who engineered that didn't throw up a red flag and say, "Hang on, if we have to do this to make someone not get hurt, maybe we just shouldn't."
Still sounds dangerous.
So this was actually signed off on by Marty Sklar. He was he was the head guy at from 2000 to 2007.
So yeah, this whole thing got cut. It got broken down, paved over, and any good thing at Disney, they said, hey, let's put a people eater here, and it became a character meet. Usually you get Pooh and one of his many friends from the woods there. So yeah, no Tigger, no jumping thing. All you have is I think the mailbox that says T.I. double gut-er. But
he's got a mailbox,
going from
but no
that
house.
Yeah, no house. Maybe that. Well, I mean, you got to get your mail somehow. You got to get that check.
P.O. box.
So, after Tigger, you get the travesty that is just a big ass page out of the book once again that says that it's just a picture of Piglet's house, and that's it. You get the picture of Piglet's house and the sign of Trespassers Will. And then there's no real house there. That's all you get. That's all you get for Piglet, which I think is shitty.
Well,
you've already taken Tigger away.
Piglet's house was washed away on the rainy day.
No, Piglet's house was given away by Piglet or by Eeyore to Owl.
But the house should still exist.
It does in the book.
It doesn't get washed away until during the ride thing, so it should still be here because you haven't done the ride yet. But hey, Eeyore's house is there, so you've got a pile of sticks. Okay, so getting past Eeyore, getting past the non-existent Piglet, you come across basically Rabbit's domain with all these raised vegetable gardens set up, and this is where the queue kind of takes a turn for the worse, because up until now your kids have been right alongside you and you can backhand them when they start getting out of line. Now, not so much, because now it's just freaking chaos. The parents go down one side, and kids are free to roam through all the interactive aspects of the queue. You've got squishy fruit and squishy vegetables. You've got sunflowers that you spin around, and they go jingle, jangle, 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 jingle, jingle, jangle, jangle, jangle. So the only reason to even deal with the squishy fruit and squishy vegetables and the pinwheel of the jingle jangle sunflowers is because they got this badass display with all these mechanical gophers that you walk up and you step on these little sensors that are on the ground, and when you step on it, the gopher jumps up out of this hole and starts talking, shit to you, starts throwing shade at you and saying some funny stuff in cute little gopher sounding voices. And I mean, it's pretty cool. It's the only thing about this queue that actually looks moderately interesting to me. Like, I would actually leave my wife and walk over there and play with these gophers and see how quick I get them to pop up and down. I'd be able to be looking like fucking Dance Revolution and have all of them popping up and going like crazy. No, you must get out of my way, damn kid.
Squeezing the squishy eggplant.
So, but they're not in the book.
Anyway.
No.
They're not in the book.
They're not in the book,
It's a good thing, though, that Disney thought about guys like me, because they actually built 2 of these gopher displays. So while I'm in front of one, jumping around, slinging my hands like I walk to a spider web, the rest of these little snot bags can be over there playing with the others. And that's Rabbit's house. You've got his garden, which he doesn't like gophers. Not even like Gopher, for that matter. Who is... I'll say it again. I think Gopher is like the Gopher King, because he's like twice the size of these gophers in the queue.
Well, maybe he was hanging out in Rabbit's garden, and Rabbit was using some not safe genetic practices to make his vegetables big.
Maybe he grew up in Chernobyl.
Maybe it's the ooze.
Oh, that's what it is. It's the honey ooze.
It's the honey the Poohs. the secret of the Poohs.
Oh, good God.
Oh, boy. It's a dad joke right there.
Oh, God. Hey, listen here, man. Okay, so you get past Gopher or Rabbit and the gophers and stuff like that, and you get this... If you weren't annoyed by the queue yet, this is the point where you're going to just beg for the sweet release that only death can bring you. Because when you pass this, you get this cage that I can't figure out what it has anything to do with the world of Pooh, the world of Disney, the world of anything other than it's just like it's a shitty part of the queue. And there's even a big page that I looked at, and I paused somebody's walkthrough of the queue to read what it said, and the page had nothing to do with this contraption. The page talks about a game that Winnie the Pooh likes to play with him and Christopher Robin. It's called Pooh Sticks. So I was like, well, shit, this must be Pooh Sticks.
Sometimes your Pooh does stick.
It's called spackle.
It does. Sometimes you end up with one of them with a clinger on the back of the... Anyway, so I'm looking at what Pooh Sticks is, okay, guys? And Pooh Sticks is a game that Winnie the Pooh developed because he likes himself, so he named it Pooh, which goes back to the narcissism. But it also has sticks, which that's literally it. It's Winnie the Pooh dropping a stick off a bridge, and then Pooh walking to the other side to see which stick came out the first, which now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure the sticks would cross well before Pooh got his fat, furry ass to the other side of the bridge to look over and see.
Well, the real game in the England, because it's all over England, and
not just in the London.
It's outside London in the Oxford, or the other place that we don't talk about.
Well,
the shadow.
Because if you drop a stick into the Thames, I'm sure you won't see it again.
Well, okay, so there's many, 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 many tributaries of the Thames. And the Thames in London is very big. And the Thames, as you go outside towards, like, Hampton and even further west of that, is very small. So you can jump across the Thames at one point.
But can you play Pooh Sticks?
Well, I'm
Yes,
sure that there's probably plenty of Pooh in the Thames.
Yeah, well, yes, there is. But in the England, okay... So the game is basically you stand at one end of this bridge in Oxford, just outside of London, and you drop your sticks in the on one side of the bridge, and you run to the other side, and then there's a judge at the further downstream a little bit, not too far, but far enough downstream where there's a race of these sticks downstream, and whoever sticks crosses the finish line wins. And it's a real thing.
So now what happens if you don't decide to run because there's a judge?
Well, I mean, you don't have to run, but the spirit of it is to run to the other side and see who's crosses
run
first.
Anywhere.
We're talking 25 feet tops.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, the bridge is only like 5 feet wide. It's not a big bridge, but yeah, I mean, they go downstream, and the winner is the winner, and there's actually a competition, a world championship competition, and
There is. It's been going on for 34 years.
and because naturally it's in Oxford, obviously Cambridge has to have a team, and they compete. The colleges compete.
Why do I just think of this as somebody created this game at then when they went camping and they decided to make it a drinking game?
I think realistically everybody has stood on a bridge over a creek and dropped something in it and then went to the other side to see if it came
Yes,
back
but they
up.
never made a race out of it.
We grew up in the city, so you drop it in the street after it rains when there's a stream of water running down the sidewalk. That's how we do it in the city.
Yeah, Georgie, we all float down here.
Adam, it's the UK. There was most likely ale involved.
Yeah, I can't picture this. Somebody had to be pretty drunk to say, "Oh, this is cool. Let's make it a sport."
Hey, here's the deal. They do this. Well, the World Pooh Stick Championships is a charitable competition. All the proceeds go to charity. They do have a grand marshal, the Pooh for a day, who has to walk around in a hot-ass Pooh costume with yellow face paint looking like Sidney Wagaspeck.
Cajun clowns, man. Let's get to the most disgusting part of this queue.
Okay, so after you've walked past this contraption of kids rotating gears and balls popping, ping pong balls popping loudly, and it makes no sense. There's no reason for this. You walk past that because you just got to get away from it, and then you've got another pair of big ass book pages, and they convey the story of Pooh trying to infiltrate a beehive via the balloon Trenton mentioned before. Obviously, he failed because he didn't really look like a bee. And bees make honey, and honey oozes.
As we
and
know.
What better surface for honey to ooze than a vertical surface? And you've got, again, the same people that thought the Tigger hopping pads of death were a good idea decided, hey, this new thing is out right now where you can touch a screen and it interacts to your fingers. Let's make these screens look like honey's oozing down it, and you can wipe it away with your hand, and kids can draw stuff on it, and you can put your initials, and it gets covered up by the next wave of ooze that comes down. So they put there's four of these big-ass screens they got set up, and they got like this, bezel around it, so it just doesn't look like, a big Samsung display, and it's just nothing. You get up there, and this is the part of the attraction that the adults get in on because it's like, oh, cool. And invariably, you end up with 4 screens with dicks. You end up with 4 screens of people just drawing dick pics.
But you can't really draw a dick pic because they go away really quick.
E. coli screens.
If you draw it quickly enough.
Well, there's actually something behind those screens. There's actually more pages of the book behind those screens of houses and stuff. If you actually get somebody to wipe it all away, I remember seeing it.
Yeah, there are images behind it.
That's what you got to do. You got to have somebody somebody drawing like drawing the balls and the shaft, and someone is just rubbing as hard as they can to make sure that no more honey comes down.
Well,
and covers
we literally saw
keep it
a
clean.
woman almost lay on the whole screen and did like snow angels on the thing.
Yes.
She was trying to wipe as much as the honey as she could. She's probably dead by now because of what she caught from that screen, but
she got MRSA.
She has like the staph infection that eats your skin.
she grew a third arm.
She got Ebola virus.
The 3 sheets
First melted off.
E. coli challenge. I want someone to clear one of those displays so we can see what's
With
behind
their
it.
tongue.
Ew. Tim.
Not necessarily.
Come on, we're gonna plus it. You gotta plus it up.
I'm not against it. No, don't lick it clean. But let's get some pictures from people who are out there, some 3 Sheets listeners. Clear the screens.
You know what, Tim? Sheeters know how to cross the line.
Very good.
My
across the
problem
line.
with this whole screen is that
touching it.
That's the part that I don't like.
Because it's oozing.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Oh, no. I look.
You can just
I'm
see
all
the
for- I'm all for
streaks
fun.
and the fucking snot and just the nastiness on that screen.
It looks like it rained boogers on the screen.
Yeah, I'm all for fun, but man, no. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Even like I'm not a germaphobe. I really am not. And I'll be like with Ethan. I'll be like, oh, it's fine. 5-second rule. This is when I draw the line.
Dude, I'll
This
eat
is
something
where I
off the
draw the
floor
line.
in my own house. It'd be there for like a minute. I don't even want to look at this fucking wall.
I would eat something off the floor in Disney World rather than touch this place.
Oh, fuck you,
And you
hell
know what?
no.
Dude,
That's
that
another big
screen looks
hell
like
no.
the
Nope.
underside of a
No.
desk in an elementary school.
It makes the ball pit at Chuck E. Cheese look like an
And listen,
operating
you don't
room.
even have to touch it. You can hover over it.
Yeah.
And it'll still work. But I don't even want to get that close to that fucking thing.
You know those booger germs are jumping off the
Well.
screen at you.
I would drop my turkey leg on the ground, brush it off, and eat it before
Nope,
I touch the
nope.
Winnie the
Wouldn't
Pooh.
I
be
would
doing
drink a
that
cup
either.
of water out of Pirates of the Caribbean.
You know what you could do, though?
Nope.
Yeah.
You can take your turkey leg and you can wipe the screen down with that.
Oh, no.
No, but you're going to drop it on the floor and eat it. So that's so much better.
I would rather, I'm just saying, these sound more disgusting than the
That
floor.
screen looks
Nope.
like
Than the concrete.
hepatitis if it was a picture.
I'm pretty sure there are photographs.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Does it look like that fucking screen?
It doesn't look
It's
anything
like
like
If you took
that.
a swab, if you took a swab of that screen and put it in a fucking petri dish, I'm sure you'd find a new disease. I'm
Dude,
sure.
it would grow vertical, not outward.
So once again, can we address the fact that these things hold up the fucking line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, but
I don't think they hold them up that much because that's like the very front part of the queue. From there, you can see the vehicles, and those kids are like, by the time you get to the fourth one of these walls, they just want to
Those
get in the
walls
car.
hold up the
In
line.
comparison to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, it's the same thing.
so
with
then
the
you just walk by the punks who were stuck on the line.
So
I'm
then
sorry.
you get fucking yelled at, and I gotta fucking hockey fight somebody in the line of Winnie the fucking Pooh?
Oh, no, we do.
I never got yelled at for doing it.
I never got yelled at for
I'll
doing
either
that.
are you gonna go? And then if you're not gonna go, you're gonna let your kid play. I'm moving on.
Just kick them in the back of the knee, that way they buckle. But doesn't produce any long-term damage.
in the front of the knee so it bends back like a flamingo.
Okay, but look who we're talking about. We're talking about Angry Beard.
I know. People buy him booze and buy him dinner because he throws shit at
throw
hockey
shit at him.
teams.
I throw shade, that's about it.
After the wall of E. coli, then you pretty much just get on the ride. I mean, you go through some basic queue styles, I guess, with railings. Then you get up there and they say, "Get in your poo pot," and you're like, "Okie dokie," and the rain came down. And that's the queue. That's about it. The only thing I can say about this is it is a germ-riddled orgy of anarchy from the moment you get past the tree. I mean, for all of our poo jokes, there's a significant chance that there's shit on something.
If not everything.
Honest to God, feces. If you touch anything in this queue, you
Yes.
will have basically fisted someone.
Okay. So now,
Adam, before we go on, I wanted to just do a couple of, interesting trivia bits because we here at the Fine Learning Institute,
oh yeah,
Sheets the Mouse,
this is fine learning. We've talked about shit and Winkies.
we want to make sure that you impress your friends with your knowledge of Pooh. Obviously, I think most people know that Paul Winchell provided the voice for Tigger in the series and pretty much all the way up until this ride in Magic Kingdom Open, because this ride in Magic Kingdom marks the last time that Paul Winchell ever voiced Tigger. And since that time, Jim Cummings, who is a voiceover legend, now does Tigger's voice, as well as Pooh and Eeyore. Or no, that's right. That's Peter Cullen. That's right. I forgot. That's Optimus Prime. The other interesting note is that E.H. Shepard is the original illustrator of Winnie the Pooh. He's also the original illustrator for Wind in the Willows.
No, there's a common thread, which is the whole theme of the show.
There's a common thread. E.H. Shepard illustrated Winnie the Pooh, and then later illustrated Toad and the Wind in the Willows. And it's just ironic that both of those rides are kind of, these properties are connected to each other.
All right, here's the game with this. Your longest wait for Winnie the Pooh, when does it become to the point where you won't wait for it? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 40 minutes? What's your actual timeline that you would ride it, and then when you wouldn't ride it?
I'm being realistic. I wouldn't ride it.
Period. So even if there's a 5-minute wait.
Nope.
Okay, all right, that's just being stubborn.
Nope.
No, that's
You don't
just
even
being
have to touch the
stubborn.
Petri dish.
You're insane.
It's not.
You're insane. I'm sorry, Trent. You're
rather
insane.
People watch than go on Pooh.
Fair enough. Scott?
I'd probably do 30, 35.
I would
Well,
not
we know
do
you're
35, 35.
You're
I would do
unrealistic.
anything, posted time, anything 20 and less.
I'd do 20.
I
would do a
do
15-minute wait.
Posted time of 30 or 35 minutes, and then after that I would say I'll find a way to fast pass it at some point during the trip and come back to it, because I love this ride.
Oh my god, you're so wrong.
Why do you love this ride, though?
Well,
What is the
look,
attraction to this
I mean, it's
ride
literally
for
an
you?
opinion, and you're still wrong.
Well, and he also has a 4-year-old kid, so...
One, I do have a 4-year-old kid, and so
you're forcing this shitty.
I mean, I read Winnie the Pooh books to Ethan. I have a set of everything from When We Were Young to House at Pooh Corner, and we read the stories. And I love Winnie the Pooh. I think he's the epitome of childhood. When he says things like, when there are quotes like, "How do you spell love?" Well, you don't spell it, you feel it. I mean, these are just great quotes. These are great things. Like, I literally announced when Andrew and I got pregnant with Ethan, we announced our pregnancy to a Winnie the Pooh quote. And,
that's why you love Pooh so much. It's all coming together.
well, it is.
now I have a
I
question,
can't
though,
blame him for
because,
that. I can't fault him for that.
but I have a question here, because you even said Pooh is a bit of an egomaniac.
Oh, he is, but he's a play. But he's a
wow.
Okay, hold on. Wait, listen to me. Look, every child believes the world revolves around them. That's just how children are.
Yes, but don't you want you to teach your child better than that?
That's the point of Christopher Robin. That's what he does. Christopher Robin kind of guides Pooh on the journey
And if you can
of
see the
life,
real
and
story of
it
the book.
basically welcomes you to growing up. I mean, I invite anyone who's read the Winnie the Pooh stories, who's read When We Were Young, or Winnie the Pooh, or House of Pooh Corner. They're wonderful books about teaching you how to grow up.
But I'm not talking about the stories. I'm talking about just this attraction. If you can take all that away and just base it on the strength of this attraction, don't think about, and it's hard to do, but don't think about that emotional attachment to it.
See, and
Would you wait that 30 minutes?
I'd still wait 30 minutes because I do
Why?
love the attraction. I love the practical effects of when Pooh, the Pepper's Ghost effect, when Pooh floats through the air into his dream. Yes, there's a lot of cardboard in the Heffalumps and Woozle scene. I get that. It's a dark ride. Kind of why I like that is the nostalgia of old Disneyland with the cardboard rides. But it mixes a nice 3D animatronic when you go through the Blustery Day scene, and there's Piglet being strung up by his sweater by his scarf because he's blowing away in the wind. It's
All right,
kind
so
of fun.
Scott, you've also ridden the California one over the Disney World one, correct?
Yes.
Which one would you choose?
I'd say probably the Disney one, the Disney World one, only because it's a little bit longer. It's more Winnie the Pooh.
All right.
I like the effects in California. I think they did a better job doing the practical effects, doing all those things. But it's just, you got to remember, they crammed a ride into the Country Bear Theater, and then did a little bit outside because they had to, because they were desperate for space.
Okay, so now if you had sort of like your dream wish kind of situation, and you can extend the Disneyland ride in the Disney World space, would you do that?
I mean, you got to have Disneyland. I mean, they just...
No, I'm not saying get rid of the Disneyland one.
No.
But to put the actual, like, an extended version of the... Make it the same length, but put that in Disney World.
Yeah, you got to have the Disneyland. I mean, you know what? We've said it before. Disneyland gets a lot of the good stuff first because, one, WDI is in Burbank. Okay, let's not joke about it. The best Imagineers are based out of Burbank. Even Joe Rohde only comes to Disney World when he has to. He spends most of his time in Los Angeles. He lives in Los Angeles. He was born in Hawaii, but he lives there now.
If you follow his Twitter, he spends most of his time everywhere.
Yes, he does.
Around.
Yes, yeah. The guy's a nomad.
Yeah,
the guy's a
he's literally a nomad.
All right, Tim. So same question to you because you've ridden both.
I like the theming and the way Disneyland's Pooh is laid out, and it's just an overall better ride. Even though it's shorter, I think it's just an overall better ride.
Also, Tim, the gift shop at Disneyland.
The Disneyland gift shop is way better.
I mean, we've all ridden Disney World, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So angry.
He's next. He'll get
so
his
angry.
piece to say his piece.
This probably has.
We always
the
have
worst...
to have a curmudgeon on the show, so I guess.
Right. Hold on. This probably has the worst exit of any ride ever. Like, that gift shop is basically like a bottleneck of people.
Oh, it's a tiny ass room. It's like probably just no bigger than the room I'm in right now.
Yeah, right. It's like a 15 by 15 room, and everybody has to get out, but everyone wants to stop and shop for Pooh shit.
Isn't that a little redundant? Isn't that redundant?
All right.
And so at the end of the day, you have just a shit bottleneck of people trying to get out. Half the people trying to get out, half the people trying to shop for Pooh.
All right, now here's the game. Because we're going to have to do this, because we're all going to have our opinions, and we have to let Trenton speak.
We'll let him speak, even though his opinion doesn't matter.
Trenton, why do you hate this ride so much? Besides the oozing poo pots.
The queue is disgusting.
Would you ride it if the queue was just barren of any interactivity?
No, let me finish. The standby queue, disgusting. I'm never going to fast pass it because Magic Kingdom has 3 different rides that I would much rather ride and fast pass that need fast passes other than this ride. I didn't grow up liking the Pooh books. I didn't grow up liking the Pooh show. It's not entertaining to me. I don't have any connection with the characters. It's sub 5-year-old and younger ride for me. I don't care. It doesn't do anything for me. I don't see a reason to ride it. Like I said, it's more fun to literally fucking people watch in Magic Kingdom than ride this ride.
Fair enough. And Mikey, your last opinion.
I like the ride. I mean, the queue, I dig on how interactive it is. Yes, it is a germ fest, and any parent worth a damn walks into Disney World with a bottle of Purell. But I know when the queue was originally, thought up, it was supposed to be parents hold the kids' place in line, the kids run around and play. Parents don't have to stress over what's going on with their kids. Stay here, stay here, stay here, stay here. That was the point. But it devolves very quickly because children don't understand stay in line of sight, and parents can't move around because then you lose your place in line. So it is a paradox at its core. But I really enjoy the ride. I've done it both times. I've gone to the Magic Kingdom, and I dig on it. I mean, I dig on the fact that the ride vehicles bounce up and down along with Tigger, and I even like the 2D aspect of all the woozles and stuff. I like it, and I don't know any current IP that I would replace that attraction with. But again, I grew up watching Winnie the Pooh cartoons on TV. Okay, so I loved watching Winnie the Pooh on TV because he was just a silly old bear. Yeah, he was.
So is it more of a nostalgia thing for you than an actual good attraction? Because that's the line I find a lot of people on this attraction with, is that they're not necessarily loving the attraction, but because it's nostalgic for what A, B, C, or D reason, then it becomes important.
Adam, do you think it's a good ride?
No.
Had I been going to Disney 2 and 3 times a year for the past 10 years, I would look at the ride as having nostalgia for me. I don't look at it as being nostalgic to the cartoons because it looks like it is identical to everything I remember from the cartoons, just brought to life.
But that's what I mean about that nostalgia factor.
I don't look at it as though it's a throwback, because I guess to me, Pooh is still a thing. It never really stopped being a thing. I don't know. I will say this, my 2 cents. I know this Christopher Robin movie that's coming out, live action garbage that Disney's probably going to put together. Instead of this, I would have liked to have seen a Pooh story in the hands of the Pixar animation crew.
Oh, yes.
That would have been interesting. But it would have been very interesting or too digital, and it would have been too flat.
Yeah, Pooh deserves to be hand-drawn. Pooh doesn't have to be.
It's a 2D thing.
Yeah. All right, Tim.
Well, then get a good rider. Fuck it.
Final thoughts? What do you think?
Good
attraction, bad attraction?
It's an okay attraction. It's a so-so attraction. I'm not going to go out of my way to see it every time we go. But, yeah.
Real quick, let's talk about Magical Meltdown. Mikey, we finally, the Glencairn glasses have arrived.
Yes, for all of you whiskey and scotch snobs, the Glencairn.
Whoa. We don't have to be snobs to use Glencairn glasses.
Wait. You just bashed this last scotch that you both were drinking to hell, so I can officially call us all scotch snobs.
It's terrible. It's really terrible.
It's not good.
I'll drink scotch out of a red Solo cup. I don't care, but I've been dying for these fucking Glencairn glasses.
For all of you cultured swine that want to appreciate your beverages better, magicalmeltdown.com, themagicalmeltdown.com, my production staff has finally got a Glencairn that we're selling and shipping out.
Oh my god.
That doesn't sound bougie one bit.
The magicalmeltdown.com has the Glencairns with the Gracie Manor 3 sheets to mouse logo on it. Go get one now because they're sold out. So hurry up. And I'm kidding. We got plenty that we're filling orders. We've filled a bunch of. We're going to be filled a bunch of orders, fill a bunch of holes. We've plugged some openings with my production staff is producing.
And if you go over to the Facebook group at facebook.com/group/3 sheets, you can see how it's made, which.
There is a how it's made. I'll even do you one better. You place an order at themagicalmeltdown.com for glass or drinking ware, you'll get one of the very rare and exclusive Magical Meltdown business cards. Which do exist and no one can get unless you order something, apparently, because that's how we roll around here. So as a free gift, you'll actually have your very own set of 2.
But they're not just business cards. They are.
They're not. No. You'll have a black and a white Cards Against Humanity card put on the back side of it.
They're amazing.
They are phenomenal. Yeah, magicalmeltdown.com, themagicalmeltdown.com. Go grab the good stuff there because it's great. Get your whiskey glasses, coffee mugs. That's all I got is coffee mugs.
Plenty of stuff over there.
And right now, but not when you listen to this. Right now because this will be out in time. Magicalmeltdown.com T-shirts are also on sale from TeePublic. So get those while they're hot. I'm getting ready to go through there and get rid of a bunch of shit because it's not selling. So you know who you are. If you want something that's not selling, you need to go get that, like the Up Muppets.
Yes. I want to thank everyone for joining us this week on 3 Sheets to the Mouse. If you enjoy the show, head over to iTunes. Let us know how we're doing. Leave a review. I mean, it's really a great way for other Disney fans like yourself to find the show. And we want to thank a couple of people who've left a review in the last few weeks. Rachel was here 91. She says, I mean it when I say it. This podcast is a riot. I love listening to it every week. These 5 average guys, as they talk about Disney, this podcast is the best. Gotta love that. Shane Harpo. I'm a new listener. My buddy told me about the show. I can't say enough good things about it. These guys are awesome. There's nothing better than sitting around a table or a fire and drinking with your buddies. Now, if you can find people that love Disney as much as I do, that's a win. Finally, a place where I can be a dad and a bro. Keep up the amazing, and that's in all caps, so he's yelling amazing. Amazing work, guys. And then last, the Notorious RIC. This is a great screen name. The Notorious RIC, 5 stars. I am totally hooked! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. These guys are awesome. I've been binge listening to this podcast for days now. I can't stop. I may need help. I hope I get to meet all of these guys someday at Walt Disney World. Drinks are on me, and then he made a Mickey ears with letters from his iPhone. So thank you everybody for who has reviewed the show. Go over to iTunes, review the show, give us 5 stars if you like the show. If you want to follow us on Instagram or Twitter, head over to @3sheets podcast. We're over there. We post some pictures from the parks, some pictures when we're out of the parks, some tweets to Joe Rohde because Joe Rohde approves of the show and approves of the shirts.
He likes the magical well.
He does.
I hope he's
He
listening.
kind of loves it.
Kind of loves it. So if you want to really hang out with us and and interact with us, head over to our Facebook group. We're at facebook.com/group/3sheets. There you can become part of the 3 Sheets Nation. It's a lot of fun. There's so much banter, so much just good times. Right, guys?
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I mean, it is the place to be from Tuesday to Sunday.
Through Tuesday, really.
Well, I mean, Monday we all restock and recover.
It's grown. It used to be Wednesday to Sunday now.
I know.
It's grown.
Well, it used
No, anymore, it can be like 12 o'clock, and I'm not going to name names or poke fingers at Sydney, but people may or may not have booze at their desk at work.
We've had some people have breakfast beers with their cereal.
when we first started this, it kind of started on Thursday, and it was like, oh, it's 3 Sheets Thursday. And then it became, oh, well, you know, Wednesday's it's like an extension of Thursday, and Tuesday's an extension of Wednesday, so it's all good.
I'm hungover on Monday, so I may as well have something else.
Right? Speaking of twice a week, the only place to catch some live shows. So last Saturday night, the guys did a live show, and it was brilliant. It was funny as shit. The only place to catch that live show is facebook.com/group/3sheets. So go over there, join the Facebook group, and hang out with us live.
We might actually give the listeners more than 18 hours notice when we're going to go live.
We might.
Next time, because
hey, you don't like me bitching about shitty rides and think my opinion's wrong? Come tell me.
Please do.
that's what the Discord is for, Trenton, and we'll work on that.
Hey, look, you know what? We all can't have a positive view of Walt Disney World, so...
But I do, for the most part, just not those shitty rides like Pooh.
Come hang out with us over at the Facebook group. If you have friends that love Disney as much as you do, invite them to join 3 Sheet Station. I know Brant Burke just invited his brother because his brother texted him, hey, you would really like this podcast. And Brant's like, no.
Yeah, I've met one of the hosts, though. It's cool. Whatever. I never heard of that before.
Nah, don't know them. Do you even 3 Sheets?
They sound like a bunch of losers.
But closing remarks tonight, guys. Adam.
I really don't have anything. I talk too much already, I feel like. So. Good night, everybody. Look forward to speaking to y'all next week.
Tim.
So this November meetup for the Wine and Dine, it's growing like wildfire.
It's out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Aaron Marie post
You're
earlier.
going to need more
yes.
booze at Epcot.
Joe-
You're going to need to just
Joe
truck
Rohde, if
that
you're listening,
shit in.
get on that because you got a lot of drunks coming for that weekend. It started out where it was just a handful of us, and now I don't have like an exact unofficial or official count. There's like 20-something of us now already signed up to go.
I think it's safe to say
we're gonna have to break off into teams, and we're gonna need it. We're gonna need someone involved. We're gonna need 2 Sherpas.
I think it's pretty safe to say the fourth quarter profits are going to be through the roof.
Yeah, especially for the alcohol portion of it. But hey, get on it if you guys want to join us. So people are looking for roommates. If you need somebody to split a cost of a room with.
Tim, what are the dates of our 3 sheets?
The race is
to the world.
November 2nd to the 4th. So people going down earlier and staying later.
A few days later.
The actual meetup is probably going to be one of the days.
And not in our hands. We've given over control.
One of the days after the race.
We'll as we get closer, we'll pick a day for an actual meetup. So November 2 to 4. That's the main time you need to be down there if you want to be down at Walt Disney World for this massive meetup. So definitely book your trips. It's only about 10 months away, or 9 months, 9 months away almost. Make sure you get down there. We'd love to meet you. We'd love to meet you in person. Trenton's not as angry in person as he is on the podcast. Trenton.
I'm not as angry all the time, but these motherfuckers piss me off because you're talking about fucking poo and
birds
and
birds.
Don't
and
get
sand.
me started on fucking birds. I don't like sand either.
All right, Anakin.
Prequels.
I like the prequels.
All right.
Trent, give us some closing remarks tonight.
So I was gonna go with what Tim said. I'm excited for the meetup. I think we're all gonna be there, right?
Allegedly.
Yeah, pretty much.
So.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
The idea is that we're all gonna be there. So if you want to hang out with all of us, but mostly me, I'm excited for the meetup. I'm excited for all of you. I'm excited to read some more reviews on iTunes from all of you lovely motherfuckers.
Like the notorious RIC. That is by far one of the best screen names I've seen on our iTunes reviews.
Notorious.
I'll drop that. Mikey.
I'm gonna go out. I'm going to send us a challenge to 3 Sheets Nation that's coming down in November to go to Disney World. They're not coming down to meet us. They're going to Disney World. So yes. I understand that. If we can get, aside from the rest of us, 5 more, 10 more, you guys. Trenton already said he's going to ride Pooh. So I think we need to make that happen, and there needs to be enough peer pressure in there to pressure him into touching the wall. Touch the butt, Trenton.
Touch
the butt. Touch the butt.
I'll go on the ride with you people, but I'm not touching that fucking wall.
We can make it happen.
Nope.
A side note to this racing business. Well, no, we didn't even really touch the racing thing.
No, we didn't.
The Wine and Dine is the reason we're going down there in November, because a lot of the cheaters are going down there to race. If you are listening and you're going down there to race, there is no reason why you're not part of the Facebook group, so you can make sure you get with us to hang out and have a good time and meet other racers. And if you're thinking about maybe going down there to take part in one of the races, whether it's the 5K, the 10K, or whatever there else to do, and I'm fat, I don't know, then join up at 3 Sheets to the finish line. Just do a Facebook search for that, and you'll meet most of the other people who are going to be going down there to do the race. I think me and Scott are just looking to hand people alcohol as they come running by us. And I'm not sure what. Trenton's probably going to be asleep, but
he doesn't wake up before noon, so
exactly that wasn't a dig at anything in particular. And thirdly, there are going to be T-shirts available if you want something to commemorate running as a sheeter. Working on stuff right now to kind of preempt that. Thanks to
Aaron Bench.
Yes, thanks to Aaron in our Facebook group. She's got one coming up earlier than our November meetup, but let me know if you're interested in a shirt. I'm going to get them printed on. They're not going to be on TeePublic. They're going to come from a different screen printer. They're going to come on some dry fit or some type of athletic material. They're going to be really, really nice. I'm going to get orders together closer toward the date, but that's just a thing. If you're asking, it's going to happen. So don't worry about it.
These shirts are going to come for the November race, right?
Yes.
Make sure.
Yeah, oh yeah, they'll be done before that. But I just anybody going that wants to get one, let me know so I can make sure and let this guy know how many he has to anticipate printing. So sizes, quantities, titties, things of that nature.
So if you want to be a part of the 3 Sheets running group, are we going to call it that? 3 Sheets to the finish line, and you're going to run in the November race. Make sure you let Mikey know that you would like to be a part of that, so you can. Be aware of when these T-shirts are going to be available.
And hear ye, let it formally be known that this particular shirt has was a collaboration between myself and Aaron Benge in our group. So we're working on this. She was brilliant with part of this design. So this is like I said, it's a collaboration, and that's the beauty of our Facebook group. All for one and one for all.
From all of us here at 3 Sheets to the Mouse, thank you for making our show a part of your Disney life. Thank you for your time, this time, and until next time, so long for just a while.
And thank you.